it is Alicia Prochnow, your independent consultant for 31. Welcome to another Watch It Wednesday. I didn't have any topics suggested for today. If you do have any, make sure you drop in the comments so I can look at those for another week's video. But since we had a grocery shopping theme for a prior video, I wanted to continue that. So last week I talked about my favorite grocery shopping thermal. This week I want to talk about my favorite grocery shopping tote. So I have this bag here in front of me. Shouldn't come as a really big shock to anyone who's really familiar with 31. But my favorite grocery shopping tote is the large utility tote. Now this one is actually a special one we had as a customer special in May. I think it was of 2019, might have been 2018, but has been a couple years. So this one's a little special because it has the leather handles and the fabric is more of a canvas material instead of the normal fabric. Still has the laminated interior, but I started using this thing for grocery shopping because I absolutely love the handles, and I've been using it non-stop since then. And I actually have a funny story I'll tell a little bit later. But a large utility tote. This one actually holds its shape really well when it's just freestanding because of the fabric, but they can be folded flat, which are great for keeping in your car. You know, if you're a person who forgets to grab your bags, you can fold it on flat, leave it in your trunk, leave it in your back seat, whatever the case may be, so that you always have a bag ready. They hold 50 pounds, I believe is the typical norm. That's what that is. The Home Office 31 tells us. Have a wire around the top. There's a wire here on all four sides. It helps it keep some base structure. It's also really good to just kind of help with stacking bags, fitting really nice in your car, because it kind of has just that consistent. What I actually really love is it may have this wire, but it's not solid all the way. So you still have the ability to bulge out a side. You know, I will notoriously pack boxes first, and then I'll have soft things like some M&Ms, a bag of M&Ms, or some jerky in a pouch that I'll put like between the box and the side, because there's just always a little bit of room there that isn't taken advantage of with just boxes. So I like to use all the available space, and I fill these babies full. So I mentioned I got this one in May. I think it was 2019, might have been 2018, so it's at least been, you know, a year and a half going on close to 2 years minimum. And I've been using this for every single grocery shopping trip, minus the times during COVID where reusable bags were not allowed, because there was a time period where that was true. Now I'm back in action again. I haven't used it much with doing grocery pickup, but I had transferred the grocery pickup into my 31 bags that I didn't have all the plastic bags at home, and those went back in to be recycled. So it does carry nicely on your shoulder. I don't usually carry it on my shoulder unless I'm trying to go into the house with as few trips as possible, and then I usually will pile the different bags on with some nice handles. There is grommets that you could hook anything extra on. I don't currently use those for shopping, but this is always the bag I pack first. Do you ever go do your shopping, do something, you have one that you always default to? I always default to this bag first. I fill this up because it holds the most things, and then I always go to the smaller bags second, which is weird because that's not what cashiers usually do. They're not usually packing the bigger bags first. They always go for the smaller bags first. I don't quite understand that. But I always figure if I don't use a smaller bag, I can always toss that back in here and I don't need it. And I would prefer to have at least as many bags as possible. So this current one's not available. We do usually have like 10 different large utility tote patterns around. You know, they are sturdy, they are washable, scrubbable, kind of that all-around best bag. I use mine for grocery shopping. This is dedicated. I don't usually use it for anything other than grocery shopping because I have others. But they're pretty much that all-around bag. So maybe not just grocery shopping, works well for packing for a weekend, works well for just general storage. Large utility tote is generally the #1 things folks start with, and there's reasons for that. It's an awesome bag. So now let me tell you a little story about my large utility tote. I told you how long I've had this, but what I didn't tell you is that this has actually been run over by a truck. Can you believe that? This has actually been run over. So I mentioned I usually only use it for grocery shopping. I actually had set it up to take it fishing with me. So whenever we go fishing, we go out on the bay, and it's usually early season, it's cold, right? So it's like that early April-ish, or probably May. It's early springtime yet, where the air on the bay is cold. So I take my large utility tote, and this is where I keep our jackets and our bibs. You know, my husband likes to just carry stuff and just toss it on the boat. I prefer having a bag contained, easier to transport in and out. So I had filled this with our clothes, you know, our jackets and our bibs, and I set it next to the truck because it needed to go in the back seat. He was in the middle of stuff, so I just set it next to the truck. And he came in a little while later, and he's like, I just ran over your bag. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I ran over your bag. I'm like, how did you run over the bag? So apparently he moved the truck after I put it there, and he turned. And when he turned, he actually backed over the top of this bag. Now, because this bag was full, it wasn't empty, it was actually full of clothing, he actually did no damage to it. All that happened, I can't even find which side, but there is a little bend. There was a little bend in the metal, and I just grabbed it and I bent it back. I can't even find the spot now. It's somewhere in this side. And I just bent it back, straightened it back out, threw it in the truck, and away we went. But because it was actually packed full, he didn't do any damage other than a little bend of the wire, and I was able to fix it. So it was a very, very little bend. So this bag has been run over by a Dodge Ram truck, and it is still kicking. It is still the bag I use. No holes, no tears. You know, I don't drag it on the ground or anything a lot, you know, but it does go in and out of vehicles. I unpack, I put it with my thermal and get ready for it to go the next time. So that's my little my story about how this bag can hold up, and it's one of my favorites, and I hope it is yours too. Join me again for the next Watch It Wednesday. Make sure if you have any topics that you'd like me to share. My favorite product is kind of my theme right now, but I'm open to other ideas. And I'm really, anything anybody wants to hear. This is my goal for 2021, is to do this weekly video. So I hope you enjoy.